Beautiful music playing on the Fatboy Show here on your number one station, RX Radio. Hi there, Fatboy here, and I'm feeling good. Are you feeling good? Better be feeling good. Why? Because when you're listening to all these great jams one after the another, there is no way you can't feel good. You'll feel too good, in fact, and that might end up being a problem. You know what they say, too much of anything is bad, even good things, right? So maybe I shouldn't bombard you with too much goodness. But what we do here, especially on the Fatboy Show, is once, we're done getting you all hyped up with the great music, we then have conversations about things that are potentially depressing, such as the political situation in Uganda or around the world. And, that kind of brings a balance. So I talk about the crazy things, and then you feel weird, and then I hit you with hot jams, and then you feel pumped again. See, we have to have some balance in the universe. We're kind of like... we're always trying to focus on having balance, because balance is very important in life. Well, there was no balance to be found on the streets of Kenya yesterday when police fired tear gas as renewed demonstrations erupted, demanding that President William Ruto step down. And, once again, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. I told you that when the previous protests concluded, the one about the taxes, that it wasn't going to stop there, and that these people would have felt emboldened by the president's concessions, and then they would be back in the streets in no time, this time demanding his resignation. It was always about that, actually, and I think some people were innocently hoodwinked into believing that they were protesting the taxes. What they didn't know was that they were being recruited unwittingly into a crusade to get William Ruto ousted from office. And you can see that this is the new chapter that has opened. Well, actually, this is not a new chapter. This was the entire story. And we are simply moving to the next phase of the ultimate plan, which is to remove Ruto, right? So police in Kenya fired tear gas to disperse hundreds of protesters yesterday that are insisting on keeping pressure on William Ruto, even after he made a series of concessions to demonstrators previously who were protesting the tax legislation. Activists behind weeks of protests that were initially sparked by proposed tax hikes now are calling for a total shutdown of the country yesterday, on Tuesday. The protests have created the biggest crisis of Ruto's 2 years in power and have continued even after the president withdrew 2.7 billion in tax hikes and even fired almost his entire cabinet. You see, this is what politicians need to understand, and maybe this is where Museveni is wiser. Museveni understands that you do not yield even 1 inch. Not even 1 inch. Because as the adage goes, when you give an inch, they take a mile, right? And offering all these concessions, these were insane concessions. You see, he didn't just say, all right, guys, I'm going to hold the bill. I'm putting the bill on hold. We're going to revisit it. No, he said, we're scrapping the bill. We're throwing it away. We're done with it. Oh, and guess what? I'm going to reduce expenditures. I'm going to shrink all these government ministries. I'm going to slash everything, right? And he thought, now they're happy. They'll leave me alone. Now they're back for more. These revolutionaries are like piranhas. Once they smell blood in the water, they'll just keep chewing at you until there's nothing left. And now they want Ruto's neck. They want him out of office. Scrapping the entire cabinet. What was he thinking? What was he thinking? Oh my gosh. And for him to have done it so quickly after the previous round of concessions, Ruto essentially signaled to the Kenyan youth that, hey, I'll just roll over and take it. Anytime you raise a ruckus, not only do whatever you ask, I'll even give you more than what you have asked for. And now guess what? They're asking for you to step down. You laid your bed, now you sleep in it. Museveni would never let this happen, And I don't say this to praise him like this is some sort of good quality he has. I'm just saying from just a strategic standpoint of things and how to manage a situation, Museveni would never, ever allow these concessions. And even when the closest he will ever come to making a concession, and usually he never makes concessions, but the closest he will come is to say, all right, we're going to revisit it. All right, we're going to take a look at it. Remember how, how Facebook has been Facebook has been blocked by Uganda Communications Commission since the 2021 elections. 2021 in January, after Facebook shut down accounts affiliated with the Museveni campaign, Museveni said, all right then, I'm blocking Facebook. Now, a lot of Ugandans depend on Facebook, not just for socializing and being entertained, but even for business. A lot of people use Facebook to promote their businesses, their services. Facebook and social media generally is an integral part of people's lives. And ever since, the elections ended, people have been waiting for Museveni to say, okay, we'll put Facebook back on. It's now been 4 years, or almost 4 years, and the president has insisted. And everyone is saying, dude, put Facebook back on. Like, what's the beef? Because Facebook certainly isn't losing anything by being blocked in Uganda, because Ugandans have still found ways to be on Facebook. They'll use VPNs to access Facebook, and many service providers now give you that VPN by default. So, for example, if you are using Zuku to go online, or you're using like a mobile for your internet, you usually don't even need to put a VPN. You just get onto Facebook anytime you want. And so the president has not backed down. You see, and this is what he signals with that kind of obstinance, all right? And it is a form of obstinance, because there's no real logical reason as to why he would maintain the ban on Facebook, but it is to make a point. And it is to make the point that you don't F around with me. And that if you cause me problems, or if you cross me the wrong way, I will be as big-headed and stubborn, and I will complicate your life. And I don't care how much you complain. And so that is how Museveni has handled that particular situation. See? And imagine if, in response to all of the complaints, he had yielded and said, oh, okay, fine, I'll put Facebook back on. Yeah, they disrespected me and shut down all my accounts, but hey, I'll just roll over and take it and reopen Facebook because the people are demanding it. Well, Facebook has not apologized, and the people are demanding that Facebook be restored, and the president has still said no. So the side effect of this is people just know that with this guy, you kind of just have to leave him alone. Like, no matter what you think it is you want him to do for you, if he's not in the mood to do it, he won't do it. He's at least been effective in signaling that to the masses. Whereas for Ruto, he's done the complete opposite. He has continually signaled to the masses that anytime you make noise, anytime you whine, you cry, you complain, I'll just bend over and take it. Please, bring it on. Yeah, I'll give you even more than you're asking for. And so now they want him to step down, to no one's surprise. But like we said earlier, this was always the intention of many of these activists that were organizing even the previous protests. It wasn't even about the taxes. It was a push for regime change. They wanted Ruto out. It was a revolution, actually. And these protests, like I was saying, have created a very big crisis for Ruto, who's only been in power for 2 years. Many demonstrators are demanding that Ruto step down, and they're blaming him for misgovernance, corruption, and the deaths of dozens of protesters during the previous anti-government rallies. And now I'm meant to understand that at least one protester was killed by police yesterday. I haven't checked the latest updates, but that death toll could have risen. But as of yesterday, it was one fatality. And so now, even that fatality is going to be pinned on him now. And then that's going to be yet another reason for him to have to resign, right? This is so crazy. Well, what's going to happen next? What is President Ruto's plan? Is he going to indeed step down as per these people's wishes? He is such a coward. He might just do it, by the way. He might actually do it, to no one's surprise. Well, here's something interesting about Kenya. So the conversation regarding the events in Kenya has always centered around the idea and the notion that it is the youth driving this change, right? That it is Gen Z. And so they've been hyping up Gen Z so much that these kids are feeling so gassed up, man. And that's going to create its own set of problems. But before we get deeper into that, I looked at research pertaining to voter turnout in Kenya in the previous elections, the elections that saw Ruto come to power. Apparently, the recent presidential elections in Kenya had an all-time low when it comes to voter turnout. All-time low, especially the youth. The youth did not participate. And this is what I see with the youth, and it's a problem. So they don't want to participate in any civic duty. as in go register, mobilize, get involved, vote, do your civic duty as a citizen. They don't want to do that. And then when someone they don't like gets elected, what do? They take to the streets, riot and protest, demanding for the person to step down. How is that a healthy thing? Do these people not understand what democracy means? Because even if you did vote and your candidate lost, you're supposed to suck it up for the duration of that person's term. And during that time, if the candidate continues to not live up to your expectations and governs poorly, then it is your job as a citizen to, first of all, respect the fact that he is still your president, but at the same time, mobilize support for alternative candidates that you feel would do a better job, so that when that candidate presents himself or herself for election, the next time it goes to a vote, then that person can get elected, and then you remove the guy who is doing a lousy job. And that's how a Ruto should be dealt with, not going to the streets and demanding that he step down. I mean, it's one thing. I'm not saying there's never a scenario in which a resignation can't be called for, but not if it's just an issue of policy or governance. For that, you have elections to deal with those sorts of problems. If maybe like there's massive, crazy inflation, people are dying on the streets from hunger, and there's diseases that are wiping out half the population. Yeah, if in that scenario you want to stage a revolution, I can at least understand. But if it's just an issue of I don't like this policy, I don't like that policy, and then you're going to go to the streets demanding a president step down, that's not, you are misusing your right to protest. I mean, you can, for example, the tax protest, that's fine. It's like, okay, I don't like the tax, so I'm going to peacefully protest to indicate that I don't like the tax. Fair enough. But then to go to the streets demanding that somebody step down, that's just a waste of time. To me, and you may disagree, but to me it signals a lack of understanding and an appreciation of the democratic process, which requires that you wait for the duration of the term of the president whose performance you don't like. You wait for it to end, and then you go to the polls and vote for a better candidate. And if that same president is again re-elected, you still have to respect that. You don't get to throw tantrums and go crying in the streets demanding the guy step down. I wonder if you get my point. And I think for as long as we keep treating these Gen Z guys like turning them into little celebrities, and they don't even know that they're just being used as cannon fodder by the political opposition, who are only happy to let the young kids do their dirty work. Because let's imagine they even succeed in getting Ruto to step down. Okay. All right. Let's say the whole government is resolved. Let's say emergency elections are held and then the opposition candidate comes to power. You think that's going to solve inflation? You think that's going to solve national debt? You think that's going to solve unemployment? These kids have no idea. Man, you're listening to The Fatboy Show. This is your number one station, RX Radio.